Welcome to another edition of our Lenten Snack video series here at Chestnut Ridge Christian Church. I'm glad that you have checked in with us today, and I hope that you have found these series of videos inspiring and strengthening for you during your Lenten journey in your preparation for Easter Sunday. Over the past few weeks, we've talked about a number of spiritual elements to assist you and strengthen you on your journey. We began by talking about maintaining balance in our lives, which is so critical. Then we moved the next week into looking at sacred places and making room for God in your house or in your world, having that place where you can go and connect with God on a regular basis and feel God's presence, but also be able to focus on God and God's nearness to us. And then last week we talked about silence and how neglected silence is in our lives and how necessary silence is for us to make room for God to enter into our hearts and to speak to us. And to transform our hearts so that we can live lives of faith. Today I'd like to talk with you a little bit about prayer. Throughout my life, I've used a number of prayers, from the simple bedtime prayers as a child all the way to the prayer life that I'm sustaining today. And it's been a journey, and I've learned a lot in my life as I have sought out ways in which I can connect with God, in which I can nurture my relationship with God. And I will confess that it's still a work in progress, as I'm sure most of you all would confess as well. I'm still learning how to pray, even 38 odd years later of being a pastor and being a minister. I'm still learning how to pray, and I think that's a part of our spiritual journey. But during the season of Lent, we really can focus in and kind of narrow down on looking at ways in which we can improve our prayer lives. I know many of you are utilizing our Go to Jerusalem Lenten devotional booklet that we're sharing here at Chestnut Ridge and have been inspired by it. A number of you have talked to me about how much you've appreciated some of the writings. We've quoted it in some of we've read from it in some of our board meetings and committee meetings. So I know that's been a great resource, and there's loads of devotional booklets out there. Upper Room produces so many good resources. That's just one, but there's a multitude of them out there, and I encourage you. That's a great place to start. In reading the words and the writings of other Christian writers is so, I think, basic to this prayer life, because we can learn from them and the example they set. And I thought I would share with you just a few resources that I use in my prayer life or have used over the years. The Divine Hours by Phyllis Tickle. She actually has 3 or 4 books in this series. It's thick because she has a prayer for 4 or 5 prayers for every day, praying the hours each day. And I used this a few years ago as I began my intentional prayer time of praying the daily offices. From that, you all know I went out to the monastery, and now I use this every day, the Benedictine daily prayer short breviary, with my brothers and sisters out at the monastery, praying 3, 4, 5 times a day, depending upon how busy life is, making time throughout the day to break away from the hecticness of life and share with God words. The value of praying the daily offices, of having a regular daily prayer schedule throughout the day and praying it day in and day out, it gets us beyond those moments when it's hard for us to pray. By reading prayers like this, we have words to share with God even when we may not have any, even we may not feel up to it. So kind of like when you go to the gym to work out your body, by praying a daily office, you're working out your spiritual life and you're strengthening it even when you don't feel like it. It's so important to do that. Other resources that I have used as well include writings similar to the devotional booklets, but more focused in on the spiritual writers and mystics writers of the classic church. And this is a little book of Christian mysticism. There are others out there as well that include so many different writings of the great fathers and mothers of the church who have inspired us and shared with us their wisdom. This is a book I got literally just last week, so I'm diving into it and looking for ways to incorporate it into my prayer life. It is a book called The Common Prayer, Pocket Edition, a liturgy for ordinary radicals. It's just got a little different bent on the Book of Common Prayer, but it's a great resource as well. I hope that you're gleaning from this that there's a lot of ways to pray. And your way is your own personal way, and there's no wrong way to pray as long as you're praying. As long as you're going to God and sharing with God what's going on in your heart and in your lives. God desires for us to connect, to reach out. God desires for us to make time and make room for God in our daily walk. And so having these moments of prayer, of utilizing wherever it is that you may feel the urge or the need to pray, share those times with God. Sometimes we can pray without even words, just sitting in silence, which we talked about last week. That can be a tool. There is no wrong way as long as we're turning our hearts towards God. And so I hope that during this Lenten season, you're able to find ways in which you can deepen your prayer experience, ways in which you can come alongside God. If you would like to talk with me more, if you have questions about ways in which you can deepen your prayer life, feel free to reach out to me. I would be glad to talk with you and to share with you some of the resources I've used throughout the year a little bit more. I've got oodles more on the bookshelves here in my study and also at home as well that I would be more than happy to share with you. But also know that your journey is your journey. Your prayer is your prayer, and that's what's valuable to God. Well, I hope that you are enjoying these videos. As I mentioned, Easter is so close now, we can almost see it. And I look forward to a few more of these video encounters with you. Know that you're in my prayers each and every day as you go through your Lenten journey and also as you continue your spiritual journey. May God be with you in the days ahead.